Welcome to episode 5 of the DJ Force X podcast, where this week we speak to Heitham from Sensor. This week my computer broke, so this is why this one is slightly late. I bought myself a new MacBook. My motherboard on my previous laptop decided to die on me one random day, and I was unable to fix it, but now I am kind of up and running with this. This interview's great. Just to let you know, there are some audio issues with this one, just the connection issues. We kept getting disconnected, so some of the edits might sound just slightly off, but it's a cool interview. It's with Heitham, like I said, from the band Sensor. I'm a big fan of that band, so it was an honor to actually get to speak to him. Anything else this week? No. I can't think of anything right now. I'm kind of in a hurry, so we're going to kick off this interview right now. Enjoy. I'd like to welcome to this week's podcast Heitham. He's the vocalist of the band Sensor. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Excellent. To start with, if you don't mind, could you give me a brief history of the band? Because I know you've been around for a while, but...
Yeah, it's hard to make it brief because it's literally been 20 years since we first sort of put out a record. So we met, a couple of us met when we were in high school, and we were kind of a circle of friends, and we were listening to a lot of psychedelic music and hip hop and kind of thrash metal, and we started playing that music, all kind of smushed together, all fused together, for want of a better word. Mm-hmm. And so we've been doing that for a long time, and we have about 5 albums out. Yep. We managed to put them out at the rate of once every 4 years. And 5 albums.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool, okay. Well, let's talk the first album, Stacked Up, which is being re-released this year, in a few weeks' time.
Yes,
Is
exactly.
it November 22nd?
I think so.
And it's called Stacked Up 20. Is that right? Or
yes.
Is it Stacked Up XX?
No, it's Stacked Up 20 because it's 20 years.
Cool.
So, it's been 20 years since it first came out. It's a kind of celebration, and it's also a nice opportunity to put out an object, and it's a good opportunity to slightly remaster the sound, although the original sound was really, it was pretty nice for the time. We were quite happy with it. But we've managed to make it sound even better. And the artwork, the front cover was always okay, but the inside kind of the album sleeve and the booklet that came with the original CD were kind of bodged together when we were on tour by other people, so we didn't really get a chance to choose it basically had a bunch of Kodak snaps of people, some of whom aren't even in the band, so it was a real mess, and we just wanted to do that nicely. And there's a second CD if you buy the CD version, which has never heard before tracks from the second album, which we recorded and then kind of shelved, and lots of remixes and stuff off old demos. And it's a really strange and wonderful little box set if you buy it.
Excellent. No, I got sent the obviously the MP3s from your PR, but I enjoyed the remixes. Because there's some
good ones.
Yeah, no, I played a couple on my show. I've got a music show that I do on Total Rock and stuff. So it's like a remixed rock show, so it kind of fit really well.
Perfect.
But I remember Stacked Up the first time round. I was early teens, so and I've still actually got the cassette that it came. It's still in the UK in storage, but I know I've got it.
You have it.
Yeah,
and it's probably served its time.
I think it still works.
I hope so.
Yeah,
they're pretty reliable cassettes. Yeah. As long as you keep them in a box and you don't rattle them too much.
Yeah, no,
they usually last a long time.
I've got the original box for it and everything, so I remember picking it up from my local store. So it was That's kind
with
of cool.
the yellow inner sleeve.
Yes.
It's just so weird. The fold out is yellow on the cassette. Anyway,
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Cool. No, I'm like I say, I was just going back. Like, I remember like hearing you guys for the first time. I heard Age of Panic on I'm guessing Radio 1 at the time.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago, obviously 20 years ago. But I remember hearing it on the radio, and actually, like, I was kind of dumbfounded by the sound that you guys had of taking like the rock elements, the rap elements, electronic, and something close to my heart, which is like the DJing. Because at that point in my life, that was when I started to sort of scratch and experiment with that sound. And
yeah, man,
it like, I was like, this is what I want to do. And it was like pre that new metal movement that came over. And it was the first time I was kind of exposed to that sound. And I was like, oh, you know.
Well, it was, I think, one of the first ones that actually do it. We were one of the first groups to really do it as a band. I mean, Rage Against the Machine didn't have a DJ. They didn't have, they didn't have the mix of the two voices. They didn't have the electronics. So, and people often make a kind of comparison with Rage Against the Machine. And I think there is a comparison with the kind of some politics and ideas in the lyrics, but in terms of the sound, they're more like, a rock band.
Yeah.
They were much more of a kind of. To me, it sounds like Edgar Winter, Frankenstein, which is I wasn't the first one to make that connection, but it sounds much more 70s rock, their influence. And ours, like, we were listening to like Death Angel and Slayer and Creator and stuff, and Miles Davis and a lot of really weird ravey music, and the Ozric Tentacles and Hawkwind, and so there's a lot of other things in there that kind of really is like it was a very kind of postmodern idea to just say, we thought that eventually there would be much more of this kind of genre bending, and I suppose there is, but it was never really explored much further.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, once that sound hit, it stayed that sound.
That's right.
No one really pushed that envelope, so to speak.
I mean, people like Asian Dub Foundation kind of did a little bit. I liked what they were doing, and some of the new metal-y stuff was sounded good, but very little. I can't sort of I can't pick out much from that whole wave. I like that, people go back to the Judgment Night soundtrack. That was a nice moment where people were trying stuff out. Apart from that, I can't really pick out a lot, really.
No, I mean, I was part of that movement as well myself. Probably, what was it? Late 90s, I joined a band, a metal band, and I was the DJ in that band. So
wow,
that's where I kind of get that, like, how you guys influenced me in the long run is I had that moment of being the DJ in that metal band.
Wow.
I mean, we were going for 10 years and we released like 3 albums and stuff like that. So we had our moment, but it's
great.
Yeah, no, it was good fun, but it was like, just like, I mean, speaking to you guys, it's like, I'm like, this is like childhood type thing. But
well, there's obviously an element of nostalgia, with this whole business of re-releasing the record. But but we have been developing it and playing around and and trying to evolve what we're doing and doing fresh things ever since. I was just thinking about it, and I think one of the only people that messes around with electronics in thrashy sounding music that I can really think of is Mike Patton, with things like Phantomass. It's not the same at all, but there is that kind of mix of electronics and samples with really chuggy, choppy Melvin's guitar playing.
No, I remember I saw them at the Astoria 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember how long ago that was, but seeing that up close, and he had like this whole desk of like a Chaos pad and a sampler. And,
yeah.
You know, he was just screaming down a microphone, manipulating that sound. And obviously the guys in the...
Yeah, it's very good.
Just playing music in the background over the top, and it's just like one big jam session.
It sounds like a jam session, but it's not.
I know, it's coordinated very well, and it's part of his genius, but... Yeah, no, it was just like, you're right, it's like someone like really pushing the envelope of using those electronics within the rock music genre. It's
Yeah, it's true that I think there was a moment where things kind of came together a little bit, and there was some of this. But then it was really, yeah, the kind of new metal kind of killed it really, because, you know, it just all sounded like the music that was being played at the end of a movie.
Yes.
Of an action movie.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think because once any kind of like money or industry get involved in a subgenre, then the money that goes into it pushes up that production value in order for them to sell it, because that's what gets lost. It's like whenever a band releases, say, their first album, and it's that raw, uncut, you know, they've just got into a studio, they've put all their money together, they produce this, like, you know, an amazing record. And then, like, say, second album, if it's successful, you get their production value goes up, but then that raw intensity doesn't go with them.
That's right.
Because it's kind of, it's that element is relaxed. It's not as though you're fighting for food anymore.
Well,
you know?
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. And also people just have a tendency to kind of sort of fit the shell that someone puts out for them, you know, like expand into that. Like, this is, well, now we're at this level, so we have to be like this. And, you know, we were lucky with the first album that the production was done by a guy that was part of the band, plus the kind of producer. It was a shared credit, really, but the producer was this guy, Jim Abyss, who had just done Bjork, I think, and Massive Attack.
Okay.
And you know, he had just a really great way of getting sounds down. So the first album, the production on it is pretty, you know, we had like a month to do it.
Yeah.
Which for us was just unheard of in a real studio. So we kind of started with a decent level, and we never needed to go any further than that in terms of like polishing and cleaning the sound.
Yeah.
It started kind of where we needed it to be, and we didn't really need to like keep taking it to these kind of cleaner, more polished levels. So I'm happy in a way, because we started as we meant to go on, really.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, with my band, we recorded everything ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It was always like kind of like a back of the head dream to actually get someone else to do it for us. But the problem we had was the producers around at the time were very influential with the sound. So, like, you go into a studio and they'd have their own amps already set up, ready for you to record through. So they'd have their sound, they'd have their drum sounds, they'd have their guitar sounds. So you end up being churned out and sounding, you know, the same as the last band that just went in.
Yeah, no, that's unacceptable.
You know, and
it's not production as well. I mean, one of the things that you're supposed to do as a band is essentially get your own sound first. You know, if you're arriving with that, it's all right to do that if you're like a kind of pop producer and you're creating the whole music for someone just to come in and sing on. And the guy, you know, you sit with the guy and you write lyrics, and, you know, that's a whole different game. And when those things get mixed up, it gets really bad. I'll give you a kind of example of how something like what you just described. A couple of years ago, we were making a record with my friend Scott Harding, he's a Scotty Hard. He's done like a lot of hip hop. He did some really old stuff. He did work with Wu-Tang Clan and Jungle Brothers and Mike Ladd and tons of people.
Cool.
And he came to work with us in London, and we went into the studio, and it was this studio had only been like all the booths that are there so that you can play separately and everyone can play at the same time were just being used as storage rooms. And the people who worked there had never used them for people to play together. They were just recording things like record the drums, then, you know, time stretch and quantize and put it all perfect and record the guitars exactly the same thing. Everything was done in layers, everything really mechanical. And the first thing we did, we said, we need to use those booths, because we have to play together. We're going to have to play as a band. And they were going, what do you mean? They just didn't get it. And we said, look, okay, how long have you been here? And they would say, a few years. And say, okay, well, can we just move all this stuff out of these rooms so that we can, have a bass amp in one and the drums in another, and we can play at the same time. And they were like, it was for them, it was like a learning experience to have all these old farts come in and show them how to use a recording studio. And it was really, really interesting, to see how these guys, and they wanted to make everything perfect. They wanted to, their thing was like, just sing it quickly, and then we can change it. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to, if there's a thing to fix, we'll drop in and I'll sing it the right way. And they found that, they thought that they were really scared that it was going to take ages. And I said, no, you probably just have to do it like twice or 3 times. It's only the same length it takes to listen to the song 3 times. That's, 15 minutes to do it that way. And then you won't have that pitch shifted, sound that even if you don't know it's happened, subconsciously you can hear that people have been tweaking it.
Yes. I hear that in a lot of modern music, because obviously spending a lot of time in the studio, and I learned studio recording in college. And it was the old school way. It was like reel to reel. So it was recording everyone at the same time. And if you wanted to edit it, you had to take a razor blade to the tape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then,
that's a whole different game.
That is a whole different game. And obviously now, with my laptop right now, I'm multi-tracking this conversation.
Yeah.
So
it's true, yeah.
It's moved on so much.
You can multi-track on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's madness.
It is. It's mad. And a lot of people in studios are either self-taught or they're just put through these just like schools for recording that just tell you, just do it separately. Have the person come in, make the beat, do the bass line. Yeah. Get the person to record it. And if it's not perfect, you can stretch it. Look how you can edit it. You can plop it in right on the metronome. You can bang on.
Well, that's what these guys were trying to do. Yeah. And my friend Scott, who's a hip hop producer, and but he's been doing this since the 80s, basically. And he was just he had to get kind of annoyed with them. Go, no, stop! Don't touch it. Don't quantize it. Don't play with it. Let's. And he just knew what he was doing. He knew how to get good takes. He knew how to, how to mix things correctly, how to drop in and out, and for certain, for a line, or go back and redo like a drum part, and you don't have to just time stretch everything. And the effect is palpably different. You can feel it, even if you don't know music. You can hear a record that's been played normally or naturally, and sculpted naturally, and you can hear one that's just been essentially fed into an algorithm that throws out perfection. And perfection is like something that should be kind of, you don't have to even seek out perfection, but if that's the aesthetic that you choose, you should be able to, it's a choice. It shouldn't be a norm to aspire to a kind of mechanical perfection in art. Nobody does that in painting. I mean, okay, you could argue that Warhol and the kind of whole, modern art is the factory and all this was the idea of, mass production. But even that, they were screen prints and each one was slightly different. And there's, I don't know about the idea of, perfection in art. Unless it's the aesthetic, unless that's the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
In which case, you can, some things like Kraftwerk, for example, it just sounds perfect because that's the aesthetic they're going for. It's like a digital, I'm just giving really primary examples here, but that's a perfect example of where the aesthetic is a kind of digital perfection, a kind of plastic modern world that they're trying to paint.
Yeah. Yeah. Where everything.
But not everything, not every pop song.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like hearing the imperfections even in some of the, older music. You go back, you listen to, I don't know, some of the blues stuff, and you can hear in the studio, they've slightly turned, and you hear them knock the mic, or you hear their breathing. Whereas
Yeah.
You listen to like Appetite for Destruction, by Guns N' Roses, for instance, and that is a well-oiled machine of a band that they've played those songs over and over, and they got into that studio and like knocked out that album together, and you can hear it. It's like it's got this energy about it where it was a raw, recording. And
that they worked on.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hear like more recent albums, and like you say, it's got that perfection edge to it. Like the drums, they're clear. There's no bum hits. There's no like accidental mic hits or whatever. There's obviously no bum notes in the guitar because most guitarists won't allow that. But it's like having that. Now where everyone expects a certain level of production as well. Yeah. Whereas if you release a demo of you recording in a garage, whereas that used to get like attention from a lot of people, you think, oh, that sounds, it's like sort of punk rock, real like raw again. And then, but someone hears a demo and they think, oh, was that recorded in a bathtub or something? Yeah. Because they're so used to hearing, and even if the voice is slightly out, they'll notice it because of everything's auto-tuned. Yeah, so everything's. But also, I don't think it's worse though. When I notice it, I don't think, oh, that's worse. I think you can hear people who can sing. You can hear people who can play. And I just don't like the aesthetic. I like to hear people playing together. I mean, I'm not against it. You can tweak things a little bit. If you've made a real dirty fluff, and the snare drums really clacked off at some weird timing, okay, move one or two things, but you don't have to quantize the whole drum take like a drum machine. You can just shift one thing. If it's one or two things, fine, do what you need to do. But I have a policy to not time stretch, not pitch shift my vocals. It's just don't do it. Yeah. Just do another take. And if you can't do it, that means there's a problem. It means you shouldn't be trying to sing that as your main line or something. I think, I don't know. I'm a little bit... I like dirty music. Yeah. I like dirty music. I like clean music. I don't know. I just never imagined someone like Michael Gira from the Swans would be time stretching his shit or pitch shifting his voice. Pitch correcting his voice. Yeah. Or someone I don't know. I don't know who to give an example, but does Nick Cave pitch correct his voice? I just think that would be weird. Yeah, I think, especially with the old school, because it's that discipline, because you learned how to sing. You may have had lessons, or you learned from someone, so that's important. Probably learn from just doing. Yeah. No, exactly, and it's having that. You spent time developing it, and now all you can do, you could probably speak into something and make it sound like a melody. And it kind of it throws away that hard work that you've put into it and that work ethic. Whereas these days you can sort of mass produce, cookie cutter, same, the same sort of thing over and over again. All the sounds that are generated, so many bands where drum sounds the same, guitar sounds the same. Having your own actual sound. Wow, it just seems to be, I don't know. We could go on about hours, but, it's like people have their own sound. I think the Melvins is a really, reliable sound. They know that it evolves, but it always sounds natural, and it always sounds extremely well played because they play really well, Someone like Black Cobra, for example, it's a great two-piece band. They just play really well. You see them live, and they just rip in it. That's how they play, Yeah. Tweakbird, that's a great band. It's just really heavy and really grimy sounds when they play live. It's wonderful. And their recordings are they just have the same. Overproduction, I think, is a mistake. I think that we can kind of sum up everything in that phrase. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, here we are. It's ready to be reissued. It's 20 years after it came out. As we've already capped up on. That's it. How does that make you feel? 20 years. Old, dying. No, I mean, obviously, like I say, it's
Well, we had to, talk about it a fair amount before we did it. There's the nostalgia element that is, I would normally avoid, but we just thought it would be good to celebrate that moment. The fact that we're still doing it after all this time is kind of a miracle. There are not that many bands who are still doing it after all that time.
No, that's true. That's true.
And I don't know. I mean, what do you want to know about it?
Well,
for me, it's wonderful. How do I feel about it? It's really wonderful because people have been receptive to it for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's actually, okay, what can I say about it? I've met people who, journalists who report on, from war zones and from, who specialize in civil unrest and clashes with the police, and who said, I listened to your music and it inspired me. And I've met people who, just other people obviously in bands who said that was really important to me. And, so it's just a kind of, for us, it was just a lucky confluence of events, we couldn't have planned it. We couldn't have. I don't think you can plan any of these things. You can just enter into things with a good intention and a good heart, and try and do the best that you can. Yeah. And I think often when you really do that, you can't help but do something decent, and people respond to it. I remember people responded to that music so well. From the beginning, from before we made that record, people were really, really receptive. And I just always felt really lucky, that they were, because literally whenever we played and we came back to a place, the next time we played there, it would be double the amount of people. So you can imagine how exponential that is. The first time you played to 30. Yeah. Next time you play to 60, 120 people. But pretty soon, if you visit the same places, you're playing to thousands of people. Yeah. And because we toured a lot and it was all word of mouth. By the time we put that record out, we were playing big venues and people were really, really warm to it. And they've been very loyal to it ever since. I think if the fact that there's some heavy metal in it, means that people are very loyal to it, because I think it's one of the most loyal groups of fans, or kind of subgenres of music. Is metal fans are just really devoted to things, and they'll even give you, they'll give you a break if you've made a shitty album. They won't just turn away. They'll, not that I'm saying that's what they've done for us, but I'm just saying that, if you don't dislike Dio because he made some terrible records, you don't dislike Ozzy, you don't dislike Black Sabbath, those people are going to be with you forever if you've made something that's been important to them. Yeah. So I'm just really, really excited that A, it means so much to so many people after all this time, and B, we can continue doing it. And so it's just a celebration of that, really.
Do you feel the messages you put on the album are still relevant as much as they were back then today? Or should I rephrase that?
Yeah. Oh no, I totally understand. No, yeah. Well, it's mixed feelings, because I would like it not to be so relevant, and I would like it not to have had a kind of, prediction type quality to it. But that was what we felt was coming. The security state, the nanny state, the surveillance state, the erosion of people's rights. The freedoms of citizens, the erosion. Using fear and panic to basically pull things out of your hands, pull your voice and your ability to express yourself out of your control. And those things, states that, racism is addressed on that record, and it talks about, institutionalized racism and socially transmitted ideas of bigotry and stuff. It talks about lots of stuff. It talks about guns. It talks about drugs in the community. It talks about all this stuff, and I would like, I would prefer that those things weren't still current. I would like things to just, hit a nice comfortable peak where, class divides weren't so extreme in most countries.
Yeah.
That I would be happier if a lot of what was being talked about on that record was not the case, but unfortunately it is. It still is, and it probably still will be for some time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's just to do with human nature. But obviously that's our objective, to try and evolve psychologically and spiritually beyond some of these situations. So, I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm happy about it, but yeah, I think a lot of it's still the case.
No, I was listening to it yesterday, and I was like, yeah, this is still relevant now. It's one of those moments where I was paying attention like to the lyrics, because normally I can get lost in the music, and I thought as I was speaking to you today, I was like, I'll give it a full listen.
I should have a look.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you did.
But yeah, no, that was just one of the, like, because I had most of the like notes that I've got now ready made for this, but that was one particular question. I was like, let's see.
Yeah, some of the things have changed their forms. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole part in Age of Panic about the idea of being, surveillance and data storage, storing data on individuals and machines, scanning your emails, which I know happens because it's actually happened to me. And email communication between myself and my best friend have been stopped by machines, which have just said your mail could not be sent because due to the content.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't believe it. It happened to me and my best friend, his first reaction was, "Excuse me, who the fuck are you? Like, who are you? Who's reading my mail?"
Yeah.
And it's a machine that picks out keywords and starts recording, starts like compiling. There are algorithms that are picking up what you search for, you say to your friends, so. Essentially, it's going to be. It's already almost at a kind of Minority Report stage where you're not using psychic people to see what people are going to do. You're just using an algorithm to predict what may be done by a certain individual. So some of these things, which were kind of hinted at in a kind of sci-fi way, some of the stuff that was imagined on that record was, we felt it was kind of inevitable. So we were not really. We just thought we could see it coming in a way.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual. I don't find it that unusual that we were able to tap into the kind of, not even the zeitgeist, because the zeitgeist is the current feeling, but the future. Where this could be going. And so I think you take a little bit of drugs and then you stop taking drugs, and if you just keep taking, psychedelic drugs, that's a bad thing. But if you take a little bit and you have a little vision and you use your imagination, you may kind of actually be able to see where things are going just by being sensitive enough to pick up on it, And I think we're not, a lot of people predicted a lot of the situations that we're facing now. So I don't think it was just extrapolation.
Yeah.
We're not like soothsayers.
Are there any future plans for Sense? Are you touring? Do you have plans for a new album or anything like that you can talk
We're
about?
working on new songs, so I mean that's as much of what happens is we constantly scratch away and just build up our we work on songs as often as we can. Everybody works on little demos and gets little bits together individually, which we then play to each other. And if people like them, then they will jam around that idea.
Yeah.
We used to do a different system where we would just go and sit in rehearsal studios for a month on end and just like bang out songs, and it was like drawing blood, jamming. You would jam all day basically, and you'd pull out the few bits that you liked out of that day.
Yeah.
And which that's a way of doing it. But if we've discovered that if each person records some ideas already, it plays them to others, the others can also give that some thought and think, I could do something with this. And then when we do get together, we're basically working on that idea.
Yeah.
So that we do that constantly, so there's no we're always working on the next album,
That's cool. That's cool.
But touring, well, we're just talking to some new people about maybe touring in Europe a little more, and probably touring a little bit more in the new year. I don't see us, it's too late this year to do any serious touring. We've done very few gigs this year, considering it was the 20th anniversary. But the plan is, I think, to start doing some more next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I have another band that takes up some of my time in France called Fiend, and that's a very different kettle of fish. It's like a trippy, like proggy doom psychedelic metal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Cool, because I was going to mention I saw Lodestar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you guys.
Well, there's not that many people.
No, I know. I saw you guys support Tool at the Astoria.
Okay.
It was,
so that's where a lot of people saw us.
Yeah, it was a long time. I just remember, I saw the name pop up on a bio of yours. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know that name, and I'm pretty sure I've got a CD of yours as well.
Yeah, well, we made one record. Yeah. It was a little bit hastily put together, that band, but it was interesting. There's some interesting stuff on that record. It's interesting anecdotally because for me, I knew I wanted to do something which was like just more experimenting with just guitars and singing melodic vocals. So that was the kind of start of it. After that I did this other thing which we played about 4 gigs. It was just for fun with my friends, and it was called The Operators. And then I did another band very quite briefly with a pair of brothers, the Stone brothers, Paul and Justin Stone, and that was called Entronaut. But it's not. There's a band called Entronaut now, which is going to pick that up, but it's not the same band.
Okay.
And yeah, we played a few shows, but it was like we weren't really pushing it, but it was really good. And now finally, I'm comfortable now in this band in France called Fiend. Cool. So I really do have like a separate kind of thing that I'm involved in that's quite stable, and we're on our second album now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
have you got a website to go to for people to go to?
You can hear the whole album on Bandcamp, but there's a vinyl of the second album. You can buy the first album's on CD, the second album's on vinyl, but you get the CD inside the vinyl and the download. So it's cool. Like just one thing that you can buy, and it has every format.
Cool. I like my vinyl, so I'll have to look that one up.
It's there. I love on Bandcamp. You have to type it in like FFIIEENNDD. It's just like echoey kind of.
Okay.
Because I'm sure the word fiend was already taken by some Hungarian rapper or something.
Cool. I'll check that out.
So fiend with like double letters, everything's doubled up on Bandcamp, and you can hear the whole record there. Cool. But we haven't played outside of France yet with Fiend, but it's sounding really good, so I'm happy with that.
Cool. I will go and check them out after this. Give it a listen, because I'm always after new music and stuff. So
I don't know what kind of music you're into. So
I'm into loads of stuff. I'm kind of like mainly along the rock genre, but being a DJ, I was like very much into my jungle and drum and bass. And like just general sort of electronic music at this point. I mean, my radio show, like I said, it crosses over between rock and electronic music.
This is not so much like that, but it's cool.
I like my sort of doomy stuff as well. I like bands like Neurosis and all that kind of like proper doom.
There's a little bit of that in there, a little bit.
Cool.
Not. It's not really. It's hard to. There's a couple of bits that could be, slightly like that, but it's a bit more kind of trippy. There's a kind of psychedelic little thing going on sometimes, and weird mathsy passages.
Okay.
I don't know.
It sounds interesting, at least. So, but like I say, I listen to a lot of stuff, so it's
Well, give it a go.
And anyone listening as well can go listen to it too. So.
Yeah, it's Fiend. It's Fiend. I think it's Fiend official on. You can find Fiend on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Censor's on Facebook, and I think Censor's on I don't know if Censor is on Bandcamp. I'm really bad at promoting my own thing.
It's right. They can go to censor.co.uk.
You can definitely go to censor. You can go to the website. Yeah,
and it'll all be up there. So
exactly.
I usually stick that in the show notes and stuff. So that's fine. That's cool.
Cool.
Really, thank you for doing this. And so Stacked Up 20 is out on the 22nd of November for anyone wanting to buy it. It'll be on CD, vinyl, and download. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
All formats.
All formats. Excellent. So go find it, go order it, do whatever you have to do. It's censor.co.uk. Cool. So Heitham, thank you very much again.
It's a pleasure.
And
no problem.
Take it easy and have a good day.
Yeah, no problem. You too.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Good luck. Bye.
Okay. At the end of this week's podcast, thank you for subscribing, listening. If you enjoy it, please leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or even Mixcloud. If you go to mixcloud.com/DJForceX, you get to hear all my radio shows up on there, and I'm also uploading my podcast. So if you just want to stream it, there are apps available for the iPhone and Android. I think that's it. Go to DJForceX.com. Check out my other stuff. If you dig it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. Whatever. Just sorry to rush this one. It's just that I'm trying to get this system set up and running because I've got other interviews coming up and it's currently not set up to do anything like that. So, So, thank you. Goodbye. Good luck. I'll be back same time, same place next week. So until then, this is DJ Force X out.